Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, and welcome if you're new. I'm Josephine. So in today's video I'll be showing you how I made this beautiful gown. If you really like to know how I made this gown, watch this video to the end. Thank you guys. Guys, I used 2.5 yards of crepe fabric for this tutorial. So I'm just showing you how I folded my fabric. I folded my fabric into 4. I used 2 yards to fold the fabric. So after that, I'll go ahead and take the necessary measurement. I'll start by taking my neck width and my neck depth. The neck width measurement I'm using is 3.5, and for the neck depth I'm using 1.5. That's for the back neck depth. I'm going to cut them together, then later separate them and cut the front. This is me connecting them together. So after that, I'm going to be taking my sleeve measurement. I'm using 12 inches for this, so I'm going to mark 12-inch downward. Then after that, I'm going to take my bust point measurement, which is 13 inches from my shoulder line. That's from the starting point. I'm going to mark downward 13 inches. Then I'll mark the 12.5 I marked earlier. So that is where my sleeve is going to stop. That's it, to start from the shoulder line and stop at that 13 inches. That's where my sleeve opening is going to start from. Then from that line I mark, that's 13 inches. I'll now start taking my hip measurement divided by 4, and I'll add 3 inches to it. So that's what I'm going to be marking from that 13 inches downward. Your hip measurement divided by 4, then you add 3 inches to it. I'm going to mark that downward. So after marking downward, I'm going to start cutting now. First of all, cut my neckline. Then after that, I'm going to be cutting the 16 inches I marked for my sleeve. Then downward that 13 inches with a little curve. Then I'll cut downward. So this is it after cutting. We now have 2 pieces. So I'm going to be removing the back so I can be able to cut the front neckline. So remember we marked 1.5 earlier. So I'm marking 3.5 inches downward for my front neckline. That's total of 5 inches. Then from that 5 inches, I'm going to be going downward by 4 inches again. From that 3.5 inches, I'm going to curve it to the shoulder. I'll cut it out, then slash through the 4 inches straight. So this is our front neckline. So I'll be using this pattern paper to show you how I got that design. I'll cut out the design I placed at the front of the dress. So the measurement I used earlier was too big, so I went ahead and reduced it. So I'll be showing you the new measurement. The new measurements I used is, the length is 17 inches. Then for the waist, from my shoulder to my upper bust is 8 inches. So I'm going to be placing my tape, that's the 8 inches, at the upper part of the paper. Then I'll mark my waist. Just place the 8 inches on your tape at the upper part of the pattern paper. So from there, you now mark your waist. For my waist, I'm using 17 inches. So from that 8 inches, I'll just mark 17 inches downward. Then I'll mark a straight line across it. After ruling a straight line across it, I'll go ahead and take my measurements. So for my upper bust, I marked 7 inches. Then for the waist, I mark 5 inches. Then for the hip, I marked 20 inches. That's the hip is the full length. That's where this I marked 17. I told you the full measurement I used was 17. So that is where you are going to mark 10 inches. Then you connect. After connecting together, you go ahead and cut it out. So I'll be using this red doll face satin to cut out the design. I just placed it on it. I used 1 yard of doll face satin. So I folded the fabric into two, then I placed the pattern on it and cut it. I'm going to be cutting two of it. So right now I'm going to be cutting out the design I want to place on the waist of the dress. So I'll just take my tape, that's 8 inches upwards. Then I'll mark my waist, which is 17. I'll connect it, then I'll go downward and mark 23 inches. So after I mark the 23 inches, I'm going to mark a straight line across it. After connecting on a straight line, I'm going to go ahead from the 23 inches, then I'll make a curve to that 17 inches. So this is it. So I'm going to be placing it on the fabric I want to use. That's this purple fabric. I'm going to fold it into two and cut one piece of it. You can go ahead and cut two pieces. I just want to cut one of it, then I'll use a lining for it. I don't want it to be too thick. So I'm going to go ahead and iron and stay to one piece of this red fabric, then I'll bring it for us to see. I went ahead and cut a lining for this. After that, I ironed wording to the purple part. That's the main fabric I will be using. I iron wording to it. So I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and sew it like so. This is the red fabric after ironing and estay to one part of it. So I'm going to be placing the other fabric on it, take it to my sewing machine and sew round. So after sewing, I'm going to bring it back for us to see. I've gone ahead to cut a facing for this dress. So this facing is for the front part of the dress. You can see it doesn't have any opening. So I'll just take it to my sewing machine, sew half an inch, get to the opening side, sew half an inch. I'll also do the same thing to the back. Then I'll bring it back for us to see. So this is it after sewing. So I'll go ahead and notch it. After notching, I'll iron it, then I'll bring it for us to see. I'll do the same thing to the front part. I've gone ahead to sew it, so let me turn it. So this is it after turning. So you're going to mark 1/4 inch and you sew round just the way I'm showing you on a curve like this. 1/4 inch. I'll take it to my sewing machine, do that and bring it back for us to see. I've gone ahead to sew it round. So now I'm going to be opening at the middle so that I'll be able to turn it. This is it after turning. I've gone ahead to iron the neckline of the dress, both the front and the back. This is it after turning and giving it a nice press. I've also gone ahead to make the stitch on the purple just the way I showed you. So right now I'm going to be placing this purple on the waist, but before then I'll take the measurement on how I'm going to be placing it. I'll just take the 8 inches, remember 8 inches at the starting point, then I'll mark the 17 inches for my waist. After marking it on that 17 inches line, that is where I'll be placing the purple. After placing it on it like so, I'll take it to the sewing machine and join both the purple and the red together. So but before then I'll just use a pin to hold it. Then I'll show you how I'm going to sew it on the dress. After you're done joining the purple and the red together, so you just place it on top of the front part of your dress. You get the midpoint, place it at the opening, under the opening. That is how you're going to place it. Then you take it to your sewing machine and sew round on the front part of the dress. So you sew round. I'm going to do that and bring it for us to see. This is it after sewing. So after sewing this, that is when I noticed it was big and I decided to go ahead and reduce it. So that was why I gave you the new measurement, so that you won't make the same mistake with me. So right now I'm placing the back piece on the front piece like so. I'll go ahead and sew in 1/2 inch at the shoulder, that's joining the front and the back shoulder with 1/2 inch. Then I'll go down. Remember we marked 13 inches for our bust point. So from that 13 inches, I'm going to be sewing downward by either 1 inch or 1/2 inch, depend on the allowance you left. So me, I left 1/2 inch, so I'm going to be sewing downward, joining the both of them downward by 1/2 inch, leaving that 13 inches open because that is for our sleeve. I'll do that and bring it back for us to see. So this is our new design. I went ahead reshaping it, and I'm going to be fixing it back on the front part of the dress. After doing that, I'll also join everything, that's both the back and the front dress together, and I'll bring it for us to see. So this is it. Our dress is almost ready. I've gone ahead, sew everything in. So right now is remaining our sleeve. So you go ahead and take the measurement of your round sleeve. Take the round sleeve measurement, that's the opening. You take the round sleeve measurement. Then if you want to get the fabric, you times it by 2. If your round sleeve is 50, you times it by 2, which is 100. So for mine, I use 80 inches for the length, and for the wideness I use 8 inches wideness. So I'm going to go take it to my sewing machine, sew 1/2 inch. Then on the other part I'm going to run a gather stitch on it. So this is it after running a gather stitch on it. Then I also sew in 1/2 inch. So I'll be attaching this to the sleeve. I'll take it to my sewing machine, attach the sleeve to the dress, then I'll bring it back for us to see. So this is it. I've gone ahead to attach it. So I don't want to use rope for this dress. I'll be using an elastic band. For this elastic band is 1 inch wide. So I'm going to be taking the measurement. You divide your waist by 2. If you get 20, you minus 1.5 inch or 2 inches from it. So you go ahead, turn the dress to the back. After turning it to the back, you take from your shoulder down to your waist where you want to attach the band. You understand? I'm just showing you from the front, but normally you're supposed to do it at the back. If you turn it to the back, then you fold your dress into 2 like so. Take your measurement, that's from the shoulder to your waist. Then you divide your waist by 4. If you divide your waist by 4, then you mark it. After marking it, you mark to the other side just the way you saw me doing. So open it up, check if the measurement is okay. Then that is where you are going to be attaching your band. You understand? Remember, you'll be doing yours. That's when you turn the dress. I'm just showing you from the front. You're supposed to be doing it from the back of the dress. So you go ahead and attach your band. I'll hem the lower part, attach the band and bring it. So this is it after hemming the lower part of the dress. I've gone ahead to attach the band to the waist, so our dress is ready. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate. Please like, share, subscribe, drop a comment. Any question you want to ask, drop it in the comment section and I'm going to be replying you guys. Thank you so much. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye.